So I was on a call the other week with a student and I asked him, hey, tell me about your biggest problem, or tell me what's at the top of your mind, what keeps you up at night, because I like to understand what exactly my viewers are thinking about and what problems you guys face so that I can try and help you. And he told me, well, the number one thing for me is, how do I know what's right for me? How do I know which career path, which job I should pursue after college? And I think this is a really valid question for not just students, but also early career professionals, because in today's day and age, there's so much information out there on different jobs, but there's really a lack of clarity and a lack of, dare I say, wisdom on how to choose the path that is right for you, right? Because what's right for one person might not necessarily be right for another. And what your parents or friends and family may think that you should do may not necessarily be aligned with what you actually want to do. For those of you who are new, my name's Matt. I'm a current associate at BCG, which is a management consulting firm. And prior to BCG, I spent some time in investment banking in New York. And I make these videos because I enjoy it, but also because I would have wished that somebody would have made these for me when I was younger. Now, the hard truth is that you won't really ever know which career path is right for you at the beginning. And it's really rather a process of learning over time through your experiences and failures, what sort of things you like and dislike, and what your values are, and which jobs meet those criteria. And a big part of maturing, I think, is just understanding that there really is no such thing as a perfect job or a perfect career. There are always going to be things that you dislike about your current role. And jumping to another role isn't necessarily going to take those things away. New issues might arise that you find that you don't like as well in the new role. But all this is to say, today I want to share a few thoughts and lessons that I think will be helpful as you navigate your career journey. So the first lesson is you need to understand yourself first. And I say this because a lot of people make decisions not really knowing what they even actually want. A lot of people don't even really understand themselves and don't even truly know what they want. And what they think they want is really just what other people around them want. Now, there's nothing wrong with taking advice from your parents, for instance, but I think being an adult is recognizing that you are now fully responsible for the actions and decisions that you make in your life. So for example, if your parents are pushing you to go to medical school, you should be fully aware that the only person who's going to have to suffer through 8 to 10 plus years of medical school, plus residency, plus whatever other additional schooling you take before you start practicing medicine, and take on hundreds and thousands of dollars of debt, that person is not going to be your parents, it's going to be you. And so taking full ownership of your decisions and having that mindset is going to help you make decisions that you won't regret. The other thing is that you really need to understand what your values are. And the reason why I talk about values is because I think a lot of people nowadays make decisions based on other external influences or even things like FOMO. And decisions that you make based on your core values are typically going to be decisions that you are the least likely to regret. Whereas decisions that you make based on FOMO or other external influences are typically going to lead to the most regret. To give you a really elementary example, just think about eating. So if you value having a nice body and being in good health, a value-based decision would be, oh, I want to eat a salad for lunch. But if you allow your decision-making to be influenced by your short-term craving for something sweet, like a donut, and you decide to eat that, then in the long term, you're more likely to regret having eaten that donut as opposed to having eaten the salad. Does that make sense? Similarly, when it comes to your career, if you choose a career path or jump to a job because of FOMO, and once you're in the role, you're stuck there and you realize you hate it, you're much more likely to regret that, as opposed to if you had been more thoughtful to begin with and made a jump to a company that aligned with your core values. But this also begs the question, how do we know what our values are, and how do we even begin to better understand ourselves? Which leads me to my next lesson, which is that you should try and fail as much as you can. Now, the reason why I say you should try and fail a lot is because experience is the only thing that is going to help you better understand yourself over time. A really great example is, it's one thing to say that, oh, I think I could work 80 hours a week and be fine. It's another thing to actually work 80 hours a week and go through the pain and the physical and mental suffering that happens when you're working that much. And don't be afraid of failure, because you're not going to grow and learn as a person if you don't fail. I personally have failed many times before. Like during my junior investment banking summer internship, I was interning with a New York-based investment bank, and the vice president of the deal team I was on asked me to update a leveraged buyout model. And I had no clue how to do this. I looked at the model, I spent some time trying to understand things, and I had a number of questions that I wanted to ask, but he told me, just go and figure it out yourself. And you bet that I tried my hardest to figure it out myself. But ultimately, because I was just an intern and I lacked the knowledge and the guidance to update this model, I wasn't able to do so. And I remember feeling like an absolute failure after spinning my wheels, staying up till 2 or 3 in the morning, multiple nights trying to figure out how to do this. And it was really painful, but only through that experience did I learn that I really value having a team around me that is supportive and encourages asking questions. Now, the third thing that I'd like to share with you is that once you start working in a job, you should regularly do a expectations versus reality check. To better help you understand what I mean, there's something I like to call the career development cycle, which everybody goes through multiple times throughout the course of their life. And it, broadly speaking, has 4 stages. The first stage is the initial interest, which is when you first learn about an industry or job, you hear about it for the first time and you say, oh, this seems interesting, and you want to pursue it. And so you do a little bit more research. The second stage is networking, which is when you just get a little bit more serious and you try and learn by speaking with professionals. And then the third stage is interviewing, when you've gotten serious enough and learned enough about the industry that you're comfortable pursuing jobs and you are interviewing actively to land roles. And the fourth stage is once you've landed the role, you are now working the job itself. And it's during this final stage, when you're having the actual experience, that you need to be extremely reflective about, okay, does this job meet the expectations that I had initially? Because when you decided a long time ago to go down this path, you had an idea in your mind of what you thought this job would be like. And after you've been working the role for at least 6 months, you should ask yourself, okay, do the expectations equal reality? And it's okay if they don't, but you should be very thoughtful about what sort of sacrifices you're making and whether or not you're okay with making those sacrifices, what you like and dislike about the job, and whether or not any of these things are deal breakers that may potentially lead you to explore another role. Because if there are any deal breakers, then this is what leads you back to the first stage, which is the initial interest, except this time you're looking at either a different position or a different job in a completely different industry. Another crucial aspect of this stage is understanding whether or not you can see yourself working in this company or more broadly in this industry as a whole for the long term. And a great way to do this is just looking at the senior members of the firm and asking yourself, do they have the kind of lifestyle that I could see myself doing and that I would want when I'm their age? And if the answer is no, then that's a very clear indicator that maybe you should explore other opportunities. But anyways, I hope that this video was helpful for you. And if you liked it, let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.